The 2025-2026 Premier League season is just a couple days away, so I thought it'd be a good idea to go through and make my predictions for the Premier League table. I'm going to look at all the transfers, the incomings, and give you my thoughts on how teams did in the transfer window so far. Obviously, this is subject to change. This is August 12th, 2025 when I'm recording this. So 3 days before the season officially kicks off. This will be up probably 2 days before that. There's a lot of changing transfer news all the time. So this might be a little off. There might be some twists and turns that kind of make these predictions sour and age poorly. But if you end up enjoying the video, feel free to support the channel by subscribing or liking or commenting down below with your predictions and thoughts on the video. Let's get stuck into it with 20th. We're going to start from the bottom. We're going to work our way up. I'm going to justify my inclusions for each of these teams. And in 20th, we're going to go with Burnley. I feel bad, but at the end of the day, this is a squad that you could see some of these transfers that have come in over the summer for them in this transfer window. Ugochukwu, Broya, Bashir Humphreys, Marcus Edwards, Jaden Anthony, Quinn Shilly Hartman. These are decent players. Jakob Bryn-Larsen, Axel Tuanzebe, Dubravka, Kyle Walker. Yeah, 65.7 mil on Ugochukwu, Broya, and Bashir Humphreys. For that alone, I feel like they're probably going to get relegated. It's not going to be an easy ride for Burnley. I just don't see them doing all too well. So Burnley, 20th, I feel like that's pretty fair. No offense to any Burnley fans. 19th, go with Leeds. Leeds United, another side that a little difficult for me to put them down here, but because they have brought in some talent. Stosh, Bijol, Perry, Longstaff, Bornau, Lucas Amecha, Goodmanson. The list goes on and on. They've expressed the fact that they have doubts over Daniel Farke and his time at the club. How will he do? Who knows? I don't rate him as a coach. I see him getting the sack. I don't know. I can't really say that I highly rate this Leeds squad. They don't look all too impressive to me. There's some players in there that I think are good, but as a unit, I see them going down. And now finally, 18th spot, last relegation space. Will I go 3 for 3 and have Sunderland going down? I will not. I'm going to go and predict Brentford to get relegated. Brentford. I have my thoughts. Brentford have had a great spell in the Premier League. I don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been more than a few seasons. I'm looking at this squad, and I feel like I'm not the only person who said this, but this summer alone, they've lost Thomas Frank, Brian Mbeumo, Christian Norgard, and are soon to lose, more than likely, Yona Visa, as well as the entire backroom staff that Thomas Frank had. Minus one guy, the new manager of Brentford, Keith Andrews, a guy who has no previous managerial experience besides being the set-piece coach for Brentford, who, to be real, I don't really remember Brentford being like a renowned set-piece team. I mean, we've seen the Arsenal guy, never heard the Brentford guy. I know former player and all, but no coaching experience whatsoever. The fact that you're bringing in Jordan Henderson into this midfield when you've lost Christian Norgard, who's 4 years younger than him, and I'm a Liverpool fan, so, bear with me here. I just think that the squad is not gonna click. It just doesn't seem like, if you're losing Thomas Frank as it is, and then you're losing the captain and the top 2 goal scorers at the club, this doesn't look like enough for me in replacements. This is really poor, just terrible business from them so far. And yeah, I think they're going to get relegated. Just outside the relegation zone, I am going to go with Sunderland. Sunderland in 17th place. They brought in a lot of players. Habib Diarra from Strasbourg, Simon Adingra from Brighton, Enzo Lefebvre from Roma. They just signed Talbi from Brugge. They have Siddiqui from Union Saint-Gilloise. Or I forget, Granit Xhaka. That's just the start. Masuaku's in on a free. Renildo's in on a free. Mark Gui's in on a loan. They've got a lot of people coming back from loan. Here's my thoughts. I think that the Stadium of Light, in my experience with watching Premier League football growing up, I feel that the Stadium of Light is one of the most entertaining atmospheres of like the whole English football pyramid, really. It's I think it's an atmosphere that with Premier League football back at the grounds, I could see the fans being up for it. I see a talented group of players. I don't think it's perfect. I think it'll be pretty sloppy. And I think this bottom like 5 or 6 will be all kind of maybe close. 16th, just gonna scooch West Ham down here. This might be a little shocking to y'all, but I do think that West Ham are gonna have a pretty rough season. They brought in Jean-Claire Todibo on a permanent. El Hadji Malik Diouf apparently is doing really well in preseason. He seems like a decent signing. Mads Hermansen, I rate as a goalie. Then Kyle Walker-Peters, Callum Wilson. These guys, they don't really move the needle, and you've lost Kudus. It feels like you've lost a bit of that spark in the side, and maybe you get it back through some defensive contributions and assists from El Hadji Malik Diouf or Jean-Claire Todibo stepping his game up. But I just think they're going to be a little boring, a little lackluster, and I don't really rate Graham Potter. So yeah, 16th for West Ham. 15th, we're just going to keep Wolves there. From Wolves downward, there'll be probably like a gap of like probably 6 points maybe between Wolves and Sunderland, and then like another 3 or 4 between Brentford and Sunderland, maybe 5. I think it's going to be pretty tight there. And then I think Leeds and Burnley genuinely there'll be drop-offs from there as well. So 15th, I think this is really the end of the people that are threatened outright by relegation. Wolves, let me discuss Wolves. Wolves, Strand Larson is a permanent now. Fer Lopez also in. John Arias in at 17 mil. This Wolfa guy from AZ Alkmaar. I don't see this squad improving a ton. I think they're going to drop off quite a bit with the fact that they've lost Cunha. I think John Arias is a good signing. It just feels like a little off. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the relegation battle as well. Everyone here, Wolves down to Burnley, is basically, for me, in a giant relegation battle. And I think from here on out, everyone else will be pretty much safe. But I think it's going to be close from 15th to 20th. I really do. So Wolves in 15th. I think Vitor Pereira is a good coach. I just don't think there's enough talent here to get much higher than this. In 14th, I have, maybe it surprises some, Fulham. They haven't added anyone really. I think they signed a single French goalie. It's an okay squad. Marco Silva's a good coach. Yeah, they don't have European football like that, but I just think it's gonna kind of grow a bit stale, really. You know, I think it's just gonna grow a bit stale. And yeah, they signed a single French goalie. They've lost a couple players. Overall weakened, so I think they'll just kind of slip down the table a bit. In 14th place, I have Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, they made some pretty bold signings. They sold quite a few players, actually, now that I think about it. Damn. So, regardless, I think that Forest is just going to kind of struggle with European football a bit. They had a rough end to the season last season. They haven't really improved too much. I think some of these guys, Ndoye specifically, I think they're really talented players. I think he could actually offer a lot, and he'd probably be a smart Alonga replacement. Beyond that, you're losing a bit more than just that. You're losing some depth all around. Doesn't feel like they're getting a lot of depth. I don't know how well these players will fit in. And I just think there's already some tension there. So I could see them continue falling down the league to 13th. Now on to 12th place. Honestly, this should go without saying. 12th place is going to be Crystal Palace. And it's not for the meme. I do think they haven't signed a ton of players. Borna Sosa's the only player they've spent any money on at left back. Walter Benitez is in from PSV Eindhoven. And that's about it. A bunch of players back from loan. They've sold some players on freeze, and that's all. That's all they've done. But there is news with them. Mark Yehi is linked officially to a move to Liverpool. Um, with that move in mind, it kind of changes my perception of Palace, especially because I don't know if Eze will stay. If Eze does stay, I feel a lot more comfortable about this 12th place prediction. But if he doesn't, I'm thinking they could be right up in the mix, especially if Mateta decides to leave. It doesn't seem like they're backing Glasner as much as he wants, which is also not great. It's all tricky to kind of like fully know, but for me, yeah, I'm just gonna say Palace 12th seems like a fair place to put him. I think Glasner's quality. I think there's some quality talent coming through the ranks as well at Palace. It's just a matter of like really getting it to work. And if Eze, Mateta, Gehi all leave, like this, I don't even know if I feel comfortable putting them this high. But 12th seems fair. 11th place, this might be, a lot of people have Everton really high. And I'm going to have Everton really high as well, relatively speaking. They brought in some interesting talent. Thierno Barry, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, Jack Grealish on loan for the season. Mark Travers is in. Then they've, sold the likes of Begovic, Joao Virginia, Mason Holgate, Neil Maupay, Ashley Young. Doucouré's left. Calvert-Lewin has left. So there's a few players without the club, kind of rotated out a few players, but they have the likes of Ilman Ndiaye, Tarkovsky's still there, Mikolenko, Pickford. I think this is the most entertaining kind of prospect for Everton in a long time. Having this new stadium, having Moyes back at the helm, having, some talent coming through the door. I think they're going to do pretty well this season, at least from the fact that they have a new stadium. I think that the team, the atmosphere, and the vibe around the club will feel fresh. It'll feel energetic. I feel like the fans will be up for it. And they'll probably just end up winning a few games because they have just like a really raucous atmosphere that's frothing for some kind of success. And it'll just push them ahead of some sides that I think are a little, they don't know what they are. Everton knows what they are. They have invested in like a 6'5" French forward and this Barry guy. They're going for broke. They have some solid players. They're linked to some more players. 10th place in the predictions, I'm going to go with Bournemouth. Obviously, lots of people have left. Zabarni, gone, 63 mil. Hoyson, gone, 62.5 mil. Kerkez, gone, 46.9 mil. So that's 3/4 of your back four just out the window. That's 4/5 if you want to count Kepa, the goalie, in that back line conversation. Petrovic has come in. Truffaut's come in. Besides that, they haven't really gotten a ton of players. Why do I have him so high? For me, I think Andoni Iraola is a quality coach. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the Prem. I think he took the likes of these guys, the Zabarnis, the Hoysons, the Kerkezes of the world, and he elevated them to a status to, like 2 years ago, no one in their right mind would have spent a combined what? This is like somewhere in the ballpark of like 170 million for these three guys. An incredible transfer record, as you can see there. Made a profit of like 144.5 mil. If they could just kind of stay consistent this season, get a mid-table finish, spend wisely, invest in kind of rehabbing the squad after these sales, I think they could be in a great position. I think they have some quality talent still there. Semenyo, Kluivert, who's out injured. Evan Nelson, I think, is quality. Christie, all great players, but they really do need some shoring up at the right center back and really both center back positions and at right back. I know they have Senesi, but they didn't even have a right back last season. 9th place, we're going to go with Brighton. My thoughts on Brighton, quickly. They bought this Chalampos Koustalis guy, 35 M's. He's like supposed to be the next big thing out of Greece from Olympiacos. We'll see how that goes. I don't know much about him at all. He's only 18. He's kind of a dice roll of a player, but he could be the next big thing. Maxim de Kuiper from Brugge's come in. Watson. They've lost quite a few players. Adingra, Pedro, Estupinian, Barco, Evan Ferguson on loan. They've lost some notable figures at the club. But for me, I think this Brighton side is interesting. I know Baleba's linked to a move away. You know, there's all this stuff, but I think Verbruggen's a good goalie. Welbeck, he's a veteran up top. He can help this Costolas guy kind of like bed into the squad. They have some center backs that are really talented. Um, you know, Kadioglu's still at the club. Weaver, Matt O'Reilly. There's guys who I think will kind of earn their keep at Brighton this next season. Will continue to improve under Fabian Herzler. And yeah, I don't think this is too crazy. Matoma's still there. I think there's some solid players. Eighth place. Don't yell at me, but sorry, Newcastle fans. I think eighth place is where you guys are going to finish. The last time Newcastle got Champions League football, they finished in seventh. I think they're going to do a little worse this season, finishing eighth. That's almost exclusively down to the fact that they're about to lose Isak. They brought in Alanga. They brought in Ramsdale on a loan. They brought in Malik Shaw. I don't know how good Malik Shaw is. The AC Milan center back. I assume he's going to be starting alongside Botman. Not a bad signing, I guess. Ramsdale behind them in that doesn't inspire me at all. Doesn't move me whatsoever. Because I don't think he's that much better than Nick Pope. He really isn't. Trying to get into the Champions League continuously. If you're like a Newcastle, I know it's just a loan, but do you want Ramsdale? Is that the standard you want to set? I don't think it is. It's kind of a weird move for me. A lot of random sales. They've lost Wilson. They're going to lose Isak. They lost Longstaff and Lloyd Kelly. Dubravka's gone as well. So a little bit of a thinner side. Great midfield. One of the best midfields in the league still. But add in Champions League football. An unhappy superstar. Eddie Howe probably feeling like he's not getting the backing he deserves. And a bunch of question marks. And I think eighth is fair. I think they'll get somebody in as a replacement for Isak before the window ends. I think Isak will make his switch. Who that person is remains to be seen. I have no clue who would fit into this Newcastle side. It does seem untenable after Isak has effectively gone on strike. Yeah, for me, this seems only right to predict them in eighth. Seventh place, we're just going to leave Spurs there and go over here and talk about them. Obviously, Heung-min Son has left the club. Højbjerg, there's a few people who have been loaned out. But the additions, this is where it's really important. Kudus is a great signing. I think Tell is a good signing. Danso, up in the air. Vuskovic, he's, a young prospect. Takai, another young prospect. Palhinha, losing Sons a lot. They've got some good, talented players, especially if they do get go out and sign other players who they've been linked with, like Savinho. Savinho, Kudus. If they sign Eze, who they're also linked with, Eze. Then you have Tell trying to compete with Solanke for the striker position. Like that's a very interesting outfit for Tottenham. I just don't see him finishing above seventh. It is a big leap up. I think they had a big injury crisis last season, a bit of an identity crisis as well. I think seventh is fair. I think they'll stabilize a bit this season. And in sixth place, I'm going to go with Aston Villa. I believe they have Europa League football this season. Not a lot of signings. Guesson, Ostsan, they haven't sold many players either. Coutinho's left. Robin Olsen's left. Villa, I think they're just going to kind of continue building. Some of these players that are back from loan, I think will get reintegrated into the squad. Maybe it's a little too high for Villa. Maybe it is a little too high for Villa, but I really, really rate Unai Emery. I really rate some of their players like Rodgers or Watkins. McGinn is incredibly talented as well. And I think that they'll be more equipped to kind of rotate this season. It's a big plus that Emi Martinez is staying there. I think they have quality around the pitch, really. They could probably do with signing another player or two, but knowing Villa, they'll probably sign somebody at deadline day that's random, but will end up actually working for them. Sixth seems about fair, just a bit better and more cohesive than Spurs. Fifth place, just going to leave Man United there, and we'll talk about them. This is bold. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I have no reason to be predicting United do so well. Sure, Rashford is left. Yeah, they've gotten rid of the likes of Lindelof and Eriksen, who don't even have clubs anymore. Johnny Evans retired. They sold or loaned out Daniel Gore. They haven't made any money off sales. They spent €229.7 million on bringing in some players, and they brought in 4. Šeško and Buemo Cunha and Diego Leon. I didn't even know that fourth guy at all. But I think these three, as a group of players that have been brought into a club, I think it's a masterstroke. I think these guys are really, really, really talented. I think all of them will really get on at United because I think it's a matter of how well they could do together and amongst, like alongside Bruno Fernandes, alongside the likes of Ahmad, you know, Mount if he's playing, guys like that. I think that Sheshko's one of the best young strikers in the world. I think Obama is one of the best forwards in all of the Premier League last season, as well as Cunha. And I think having those two guys behind Sheshko in a squad that will probably be a little more kind of refined in terms of the image that is had for the squad by Ruben Amorim, as well as the fact that they don't have any European football. I think they're going to be doing just fine, Man United. I think fifth place will probably be where they end up. Now, finally, to the top four. The top four, I feel like everyone's got the same top four. And for me, it's no different. But maybe people are going to disagree with my predictions on the top four. I just feel like this seems about right. Fourth, we're going to go with Chelsea. Chelsea, no disrespect to y'all. Lot of players coming in. That's been the standard at Chelsea for the last few seasons. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that some of them I think are going to be hits and some of them are going to be a little. There's some holes in the squad that I want to address, and I hope you'll understand why you're in fourth only. But I think from United to Chelsea is going to be a noticeable gap, maybe even close to 10 points, probably closer to like 8-9 points when it's all said and done. But I could see it being as high as like 10, 12 points at a point. Joel Pedro is a phenomenal player. I'm really jealous that Chelsea signed him. I think he's incredibly talented. Jamie Bino Gittins also talented. I don't know if he justifies that fee or if that's more potential by Yoral Hato, 44 mil. He's in mostly because Colwell's out for the whole season with an ACL. Colwell is a great player, but I don't know. Delap is in, Estevao, Esugo from Sporting, Mamadou Sarr, Kendry Payez. I imagine a lot of these guys go out on loan because, I mean, they spent 279 mil. They made back 231.95, selling tons of guys like Noni Madueke and Joao Felix and Georgia Petrovic and Ugochukwu and Dewsbury Hall and Broyle. A lot of these guys to clubs we've talked about already. But point aside, Maresca's been doing good. Why do I have them in fourth? They're going to be dealing with Champions League football with, I think, the second youngest squad in the whole Premier League. I think that's going to do a number on them. And I think the drop-off in quality isn't manageable enough to justify them doing really well week in, week out come like February, March. I think there'll be some growing pains. I think some guys will rise, some guys will fall and kind of flop. But I think Chelsea will get top four. I think they'll get fourth. I think they'll do decent in the Champions League, but not win it. Third place, we're going to keep things going with Manchester City. Man City, why do I have them in third? I think their big three signings, Cherki, Aitnori, Tiani Rangers, I think they're fantastic signings. They've sold a few players, Jan Couto, Maximo Perrone, De Bruyne is left, Walker's left, Grealish is left. I don't know. I just think that I look at Chelsea and I look at City, I feel like they're at similar spots of like still trying to kind of rebuild and find identity, but they're doing it in very different ways. City has obviously bought in some players. Trafford, they're linked to Donnarumma right now, City, which would be terrible because he's horrible with his feet and I don't think personally he'd fit into a Pep Guardiola system as like a sweeper keeper at all. So I don't know why Trafford's here. Because if we do see that move, then why did Trafford make the switch? Is he just there to ride the bench? That's crazy. But maybe he is. But for me, Ederson, he's probably going to go. Ortega's probably going to go. City, I know they're linked to bringing in Rodrigo if Savinho leaves. I just feel like Haaland, Marmoush, Doku, Reinders, Cherki, Aitnori, all those guys when they're going at their best. And if Rodri stays fit and healthy and he can kind of play, I think that they just kind of have a bit more determination to like scratch a few more points. They're going to have a bit more stamina to keep things going compared to Chelsea, who do have the bodies, but they lack a little bit of know-how in the like lower ends of the bench of guys who look exciting, look promising, but maybe aren't going to go and win you the game. Maybe they will. Maybe I'll have my foot in my mouth. But City in third seems fair. They're going to be in the Champions League again. They're back to trying to compete for a title after a noticeable fall off last season. I think they'll be close to the top two. I think top four will be relatively close as well. Not like a runaway title really at all for anybody. But I think City in third, just like a point or two ahead of Chelsea, seems about fair. Now, who's going to win the Premier League? I am a Liverpool fan. Am I going to back my team to win the Premier League for the 25-26 season? Or am I going to go with Arsenal? And quite honestly, like what would I be doing if I wasn't backing Liverpool? Because we're going to look at Arsenal first because I have them in second. I have Liverpool winning the Premier League. Arsenal have bought incredibly. I think Arsenal has bought, in terms of like the quality of players they brought in, has bought some of the smartest players they could have gotten. Zubamendi, Gyökeres, even Mosquera, I think, is an interesting addition. There are some misses. I think Madueke is a little weird and a bit of a huge fall off. Norgard, he's good. I just don't know. I don't know what they feel like they're lacking a lot in the starting left side of their team. Lewis Skelly, he's promising, but he doesn't really like move the needle for me. Martinelli, I just really don't rate. And same goes for Trossard. I think Havertz is impressed in preseason. Not that preseason matters. I think Gyökeres will be a good signing. I think Zubamendi will be good. But this is do or die for Mikel Arteta. If he doesn't win something now, I think he's out by the end of the season. I don't see them able to really like capitalize this season. This team last season, I think they're probably giving Liverpool a good fight, maybe even beating Liverpool to the title. But Liverpool, let's talk about them real quick because they're on my side and I'm backing them to win the Premier League for the 25-26 season. I'm going to scroll through here so you can see the teams real quick. If you're interested, and I'm going to hit continue here and talk about Liverpool real quick. Oh, how many points will champions get? Say like 85. All right, so Liverpool, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Milos Kerkez, Frimpong, tons of talent in. Isak is linked. Today we heard news that Guehi and Giovanni Leone are going to come to the club. Those are two separate deals for two players that are both wanted by Liverpool, not an alternative situation. So 2 center backs and a striker still to come on top of all of this. They've sold pretty well, almost 200 mil in income in this transfer window with likes of Diaz, Nunez, Kwanzaa, Kelleher, Morton, Trent, and Nat Phillips leaving. Bajcetic is set to leave as well, more than likely. Doak could leave potentially. You add that all together, and really you're looking at a squad that can go out and get Isak, can go out and get this Giovanni Leone guy and Guehi for about probably 25 mil for the first and then 35 mil for Guehi. Long story short, my thought process on all this, Liverpool just won the Premier League. I might sound delusional, but adding Florian Wirtz, Isak, Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, Frimpong, Guehi, doing all that, spending all that big money, bringing in all those guys, investing that much, having already won the league, you need to go win it. So I have to back them. I think they've won the transfer window in terms of having just like a crazy window. But I do think that they could still spend a little wiser. I think after signing the 2 center backs and a striker, bring in a DM, bring in a guy on the right wing, especially if you have an interest in selling or loaning out Chiesa this season. And then honestly, I think you're probably set. You have Rio and Gamoa, you have Gakpo, you have Ekitike, you have Isak. I think you're probably fine there. I think you just want a guy to replace Salah. Harvey's probably going to leave as well. That's something to consider. I imagine a lot more, sales and money will come in for Liverpool. But you spend this much, you're expected to go out and win. So for me, that's exactly what I'm going to say Liverpool are going to do. They're going to go out and they're going to win. They're not going to win by a ton. They're going to win by like probably a few game weeks, maybe 2 or 3. End up winning by like 5-6 points. And I think it's going to be a close season. I think it's going to be a competitive season. That's my prediction. I've tried to get it all out as quick as possible. It's kind of convoluted. I'll have my timestamps at the bottom. Let me know who you think is the most likely team to win Premier League, teams that are going to get relegated, what your 20th to first place prediction is. All that good stuff in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're new, like if you end up enjoying. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.